My best friend told me I was too involved with her kids, so I stopped showing up completely. Fiona and I had been friends since middle school. When she had twins 6 years ago, I became their honorary aunt. Every Tuesday and Thursday, I'd pick them up from school, help with homework, take them to the park. I was there for birthday parties, doctor appointments when Fiona couldn't leave work, and late-night emergencies when one of them spiked a fever. I thought I was being helpful, supportive, the kind of friend who shows up. Then last month, Fiona invited me to coffee. She had that tight smile people get when they're about to say something terrible. "Listen," she started, stirring her latte for the third time. "I really appreciate everything you do for the twins, but you're becoming too involved. They call you when they're scared instead of me. Last week, Theo asked if you could come to career day instead of me." My stomach dropped. "I was just trying to help while you're busy with work." "That's the problem," she said. "You're acting more like their mother than their aunt. I need you to take a step back." I felt like I'd been slapped, but I nodded, paid for my coffee, and left. That was 4 weeks ago. I haven't called, haven't texted, haven't shown up at their school or driven past their house. Complete radio silence. The first week was hard. The twins' faces kept appearing in my mind, but Fiona wanted space, so I gave her space. Week 2, my mom asked why I hadn't mentioned the twins lately. I told her I was giving Fiona time to be their mother. She looked at me strangely but didn't push. Last night, Fiona's husband Garrett called me at 11 p.m. His voice was shaking. "We need you," he said. "Fiona's in the hospital. It's serious. The twins are asking for you and I don't know what to tell them anymore." "What happened?" I asked, already grabbing my keys. "She collapsed at work 3 days ago. They found a mass. We're waiting on biopsy results, but the doctors aren't optimistic." His voice cracked. "I need help with the kids and she's asking for you now." I drove to the hospital, my hands shaking on the wheel. When I walked into her room, Fiona looked so small in that bed. She reached for my hand immediately. "I'm sorry," she whispered. I was jealous. "The twins loved you so much and I felt like I was failing as their mother because I couldn't be there like you were." Tears streamed down her face. I pushed away the one person who actually cared. I held her hand tighter, told her we'd figure this out together. The next morning, the doctor called us into a private conference room. Garrett gripped Fiona's wheelchair handles. I stood beside them because that's where I belonged. The doctor's face told us everything before he spoke. "The biopsy results show stage 4 pancreatic cancer. It's aggressive and has already metastasized. We're looking at weeks, maybe 2 months with treatment." Fiona didn't cry. She just stared at the wall. Finally, she turned to me. "Will you take them? When I'm gone? Not Garrett's parents? Not my sister? You? They need someone who actually knows them." Garrett started to protest, but Fiona cut him off. "My parents are too old. Your mother criticized how I raised them since day one. My sister has 3 kids and barely manages. It has to be her." Before I could answer, a nurse burst into the room. "We need you back now. There's been a complication." They rushed Fiona back. Machines started beeping urgently. Doctors swarmed in. Garrett and I were pushed into the hallway where we could only watch through the window. A doctor emerged 20 minutes later, his face grim. "Her blood pressure dropped severely. We've stabilized her for now, but you should prepare yourselves. If there's anyone who needs to say goodbye, now would be the time." I thought about the twins at school completely unaware, about the promise Fiona had just asked me to make, about whether I was ready to become a mother overnight. Then Garrett grabbed my arm, his eyes wild. "There's something Fiona never told you," he said. "Something about why she really pushed you away. And you need to know before—" The machines in Fiona's room started screaming. Nurses flooded the doorway. A doctor shouted orders I couldn't understand. Garrett's hand fell from my arm as he rushed toward the window. I stood frozen in the hallway, his unfinished sentence hanging in the air between us like smoke. The flatline sound pierced through everything else. That long, unbroken tone that means a heart has stopped doing what it was designed to do. I'd heard it in movies. Never thought I'd hear it for someone I loved. Garrett pressed both palms against the glass. His whole body shook. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't process what was happening. The medical team worked on her for 7 minutes. I know because I stared at the clock above the nurse's station, watching the second hand circle while my best friend died 20 feet away. When the doctor finally stepped back from Fiona's bed, his shoulders sagged in a way that said everything. Garrett made a sound I'd never heard a human make before, somewhere between a scream and a sob. A nurse came out and touched his shoulder gently. "I'm so sorry. We did everything we could." I found my voice. "Can we see her?" She nodded. "Take your time." We walked into the room together. The machines were silent now. Fiona looked peaceful. That's what people always say, isn't it? She looked peaceful, like she was sleeping. But she wasn't sleeping. Her chest wasn't moving. Her hand was already starting to feel cool when I picked it up. Garrett collapsed into the chair beside her bed, buried his face in her sheets, and wept. I stood there holding her hand, unable to cry. In shock, probably. My mind kept circling back to what Garrett had started to say in the hallway. Something Fiona never told me. Something about why she really pushed me away. After 15 minutes, I cleared my throat. "Garrett." He didn't look up. "What were you going to tell me?" Before she... I couldn't finish the sentence. He lifted his head slowly. His face was blotchy and wet. "Not here. Not now. The twins will be out of school in 3 hours," I said. My voice sounded strange, mechanical. "We need to figure out what to tell them." That got him moving. He stood up, kissed Fiona's forehead one last time, and walked out of the room without looking back at me. I followed him into the hallway. "Garrett." He kept walking. "Garrett, stop." He spun around in the middle of the corridor. "My wife just died, and you want to interrogate me about secrets? Your wife just asked me to raise her children." I shot back. "I think I deserve to know the truth." His face crumpled. For a moment, I thought he was going to break down again. Instead, he took 3 deep breaths and wiped his eyes with the back of his hand. "The hospital cafeteria. 20 minutes. I need to make some calls first." Then he was gone, disappearing into the elevator before I could respond. I went back into Fiona's room, sat in the chair Garrett had vacated, held her hand until a nurse came to tell me they needed to move her. The cafeteria was nearly empty at 10:30 a.m., just a few scattered healthcare workers grabbing coffee between shifts. I bought a cup I wouldn't drink and sat at a table by the window. Garrett showed up exactly 20 minutes later. He had 2 coffees and a protein bar. He slid one coffee across to me and sat down heavily. "My mom is calling the school," he said. making an excuse to keep the twins there until we can figure out how to tell them. I nodded. He stared at his coffee. Didn't drink it. You need to understand something about Fiona. She had severe postpartum depression after the twins were born. I know that, I said. I was there. I helped. You helped so much that she felt like she wasn't needed. He looked up at me. She told me once that coming home from work and seeing you with the twins, seeing how happy they were with you, made her want to drive off a bridge. The words hit me like a physical blow. She felt like the worst mother in the world, he continued. Her therapist told her she needed to bond with the kids without interference. That's why she asked you to step back. But that's not the secret, I said quietly. That's not what you were going to tell me. Garrett's jaw tightened. He pulled out his phone, scrolled through something, then turned the screen toward me. It was a paternity test result. I stared at the words on the screen, my brain refusing to process what I was seeing. Theo isn't mine, Garrett said flatly. Fiona had an affair during our rough patch when she was pregnant. She didn't know which one of the twins was from the affair until they were 2 years old, and I demanded a paternity test because Theo didn't look anything like me. I set down my coffee before I could drop it. Does Theo know? No, and Lily doesn't know either. Fiona wanted it that way. He pulled the phone back and turned it off. The biological father wanted nothing to do with us. Signed away all rights. I agreed to raise both kids as my own and never tell anyone. Then why tell me now? Because Fiona made me promise that if anything happened to her, you would know the truth before you took them. His voice cracked. She said you deserved to know what you were signing up for. I sat back in my chair. The fluorescent lights overhead buzzed softly. Somewhere in the cafeteria, a metal tray clattered against the floor. Who's the father? I asked. Garrett's face went pale. That's not, I don't think. Who is it, Garrett? He closed his eyes. Your brother. The room tilted. My brother, Dylan. Dylan, who lived in Seattle. Dylan, who'd visited for 2 weeks right around the time Fiona would have gotten pregnant. Dylan, who'd never mentioned staying in touch with my best friend. That's impossible, I heard myself say. I wish it was. Garrett opened his eyes. I found the messages on her old phone. It was a one-time thing when they ran into each other at that wine bar downtown. She was devastated about our marriage falling apart, and he was lonely after his divorce, and it just happened. I thought I might throw up. Does Dylan know? I managed. Fiona never told him. She cut off all contact after she found out she was pregnant. She couldn't risk it. My hands were shaking. I gripped the edge of the table to steady them. So Theo is my nephew, I said slowly. My biological nephew. Yes. And you want me to take custody of him without ever telling him? Garrett's face was anguished. That's what Fiona wanted. She made me swear. I stood up so fast my chair scraped loudly against the floor. Several people turned to look. I didn't care. I need air. Wait. But I was already walking. Out of the cafeteria. Through the main lobby. Into the parking lot where the morning sun felt too bright and the air felt too thin. I called my brother. He answered on the third ring. Hey, what's up? Isn't it like 10:30 a.m. there? Were you in a relationship with Fiona? I asked without preamble. Silence. Dylan. What? No. Why would you? Don't lie to me. Not right now. More silence. Then a heavy sigh. How did you find out? It doesn't matter. Did you know she had kids? Yeah, of course. You talked about them all the time. His voice was cautious. Why are you asking me this? One of them is yours. I heard something crash in the background. What? Theo. He's your son. That's... No, I would have known. She would have told me. She didn't tell you. She cut you off and she married Garrett and she raised your son as his. Dylan was breathing hard. I need to sit down. Well, you might want to stay seated because there's more. I kept my voice flat, emotionless. If I let any feeling in, I'd shatter. Fiona died an hour ago. Pancreatic cancer. And before she died, she asked me to take custody of both twins. Holy shit. Yeah, I need to process this. Can I call you back? School gets out in 2 hours. Garrett and I have to tell 2 6-year-olds that their mother is dead. So no, you can't call me back. You can drive to the airport and get on a plane because your son just lost the only mother he's ever known. I hung up before he could respond. My phone immediately started ringing. Dylan calling back. I declined the call. He tried again. I turned off my phone. Garrett found me sitting on the curb 20 minutes later. We need to go to the school, he said quietly. I stood up. Yeah. Did you call your brother? He's coming. Garrett nodded. We walked to our cars in silence. The drive to Pine Grove Elementary took 12 minutes. I'd made this drive hundreds of times to pick up the twins. Now I was driving there to destroy their world. Garrett's mom was waiting in the front office. She was a small woman with sharp features and expensive jewelry. She'd never liked me. Thought I was too involved in her son's family. When she saw me walk in with Garrett, her expression soured. Why is she here? She asked Garrett. Because Fiona asked her to be here, he said tiredly. His mom's lips pressed into a thin line. I don't think this is appropriate. The children should hear this from family. I am family, I said before I could stop myself. She looked at me like I'd said something obscene. The principal, Mrs. Holloway, intervened. Perhaps we should focus on the children right now. They're waiting in my office. She led us down a hallway decorated with construction paper flowers and crayon drawings. The twins' artwork was on the wall. Lily had drawn a family portrait with stick figures. Theo had drawn a dinosaur eating a smaller dinosaur. Mrs. Holloway opened her office door. Theo and Lily were sitting on a small couch, looking confused and a little scared. They were wearing matching backpacks and holding juice boxes the school must have given them. When Lily saw me, her face lit up. Aunt June! She launched herself off the couch and ran to me. I caught her and held her tight, breathing in the smell of her strawberry shampoo and playground dirt. Theo followed more slowly. He was the quieter twin, more observant. He looked from me to Garrett, to his grandmother, and I could see him calculating that something was very wrong. Where's Mom? He asked. Garrett knelt down in front of them. I felt Lily tense in my arms. Something happened, Garrett said. His voice broke. Your mom was very sick. You knew that, right? That's why she was in the hospital. Both twins nodded. The doctors tried really hard to help her, but sometimes people are too sick for even the best doctors to fix. He was crying now. Your mom died this morning. Lily didn't understand at first. When is she coming back? She's not coming back, sweetie. That's when Lily started screaming. Not crying. Screaming. A high-pitched wail that made my heart stop. She fought against me, trying to get away, trying to run somewhere. Anywhere that wasn't this room where her father just told her the worst news she'd ever hear. Theo stood perfectly still. He didn't cry, didn't scream, just stared at his father with those two old eyes. Where did she go? He asked quietly. Heaven, Garrett's mom interjected. She's in heaven now with the angels. That's not real, Theo said. His voice was flat, empty. Dead means she's gone forever. Garrett reached for him, but Theo stepped back. Don't touch me. Lily had gone from screaming to sobbing, great heaving sobs that shook her whole body. I carried her to the couch and sat down, holding her in my lap while she cried into my shoulder. Garrett tried again to hug Theo. This time Theo let him, but he didn't hug back. He just stood there like a doll while his father fell apart. We stayed in that office for an hour. Mrs. Holloway called a grief counselor from the district. Garrett's mom called someone from her church. People kept trying to say the right thing, but there was no right thing to say. Eventually, we had to leave, take the twins home, figure out how to get through the next hour, and then the next one after that. Garrett's mom insisted the twins should stay with her and Garrett. I started to argue, then realized this wasn't the time. The twins needed stability, familiar surroundings, whatever adults could manage not to completely fall apart. I'll come by tomorrow, I told Garrett. He nodded. He looked hollowed out, like someone had scooped out everything inside him and left just the shell. Lily wouldn't let go of me. It took both Garrett and his mom to pry her away. She cried the whole time, reaching for me, begging me not to leave. I'll see you tomorrow, I promised her. I promised Lily. I'll be there tomorrow. Theo watched this whole scene without expression. When Garrett's mom took his hand, he followed her docilely toward the car. Right before getting in, he turned back and looked at me. You're not coming back, he said. Not a question, a statement. I am, I said firmly. I promise you, Theo, I'm not going anywhere. He studied me for a long moment, then got in the car without responding. I drove home in a daze. My apartment felt wrong, too quiet, too empty. I'd spent so much time at Fiona's house with the twins that my own place felt like a hotel room. My phone had 37 missed calls. Dylan had called 15 times. My mom had called 9 times. Various mutual friends of Fiona's had called the rest. I returned my mom's call first. June, oh my God, honey, I just heard. Garrett's mom called me. She was crying. I'm so sorry. I know how close you were to Fiona. Yeah, do you want me to come over? I can be there in an hour. No, I need to be alone right now. Are you sure? You shouldn't be alone. I'm sure, Mom. I'll call you later. I hung up before she could argue. Then I called Dylan back. Jesus Christ, June, I've been trying to reach you for hours. I was dealing with your son finding out his mother died. Is he okay? I almost laughed. No, Dylan, he's not okay. Neither of them are okay. Their mother just died. I'm booking a flight right now. I can be there by tonight. Don't. What? Don't come tonight. Give me a day to figure out what the hell is happening. Then come. June, one day. That's all I'm asking. He was quiet for a long moment. Okay, one day. But I'm coming Wednesday morning whether you want me to or not. Fine. I hung up and turned off my phone again. The rest of Tuesday passed in a blur. I sat on my couch, stared at the wall, tried to process everything that had happened in the last 24 hours. My best friend was dead. I was supposed to raise her children, one of whom was my brother's biological son, and nobody could ever know. I didn't sleep that night, just lay in bed staring at the ceiling, watching the shadows shift as cars passed outside. Wednesday morning came too fast. I showered, dressed in black, and drove to Garrett's house at 8 a.m. His mom answered the door. She'd aged overnight. Her carefully maintained appearance was disheveled, no makeup, hair in a messy bun. They're still sleeping, she said, or pretending to sleep. I don't think either of them actually slept. Can I go up? She hesitated, then nodded. Lily's been asking for you since she woke up. I climbed the stairs to the twins' rooms. The house was too quiet. Usually when I visited, there was noise. Cartoons playing, kids laughing, Fiona calling from the kitchen asking if anyone wanted snacks. Now, there was nothing. I knocked softly on Lily's door. It's Aunt June. I heard movement. Then the door opened. Lily stood there in her pajamas, eyes red and swollen. Without a word, she wrapped her arms around my waist and held on like I might disappear. I'm here, I said softly. I told you I'd come back. We stood like that for a while. Then she pulled back and looked up at me. Is Mom really dead? Yes. Forever? Yes, baby. Forever. Her face crumbled. I want her back. I know. I want that too. Can you make her come back? I knelt down so we were at eye level. I wish I could, but I can't. Nobody can. Then what am I supposed to do? Her voice was so small. You're supposed to let the people who love you help you get through this. One day at a time. Will you stay with me? As long as you need me to. I heard a door open behind me. Theo emerged from his room. He looked even worse than Lily. Dark circles under his eyes. Skin pale. He'd lost something in the last 24 hours. Some essential piece of childhood innocence. Hi, Theo, I said gently. He looked at me with those flat, empty eyes. You came back. I told you I would. Mom told me she'd be back too. People lie. The accusation stung, but I understood it. You're right. Sometimes people do lie. But I'm going to try very hard to never lie to you. And that means when I promise something, I'll do everything in my power to keep that promise. Even if it's hard, especially if it's hard. He thought about this, then nodded once and retreated back into his room, closing the door behind him. Garrett appeared at the top of the stairs. He looked even worse than the kids. My mom made breakfast. Nobody's eating, but it's there if you want it. We went downstairs. His mom had made enough food for 10 people. Eggs, bacon, pancakes, fruit, toast. All of it sitting cold on the counter. I poured myself coffee. Garrett did the same. We sat at the kitchen table while his mom busied herself cleaning things that didn't need to be cleaned. I called the funeral home, Garrett said. They want to know about arrangements. What did Fiona want? We never talked about it. She was 32 years old. Who plans their funeral at 32? Smart people who get terminal diagnoses, I said. Garrett laughed. It was a broken, awful sound. She had 6 months of knowing she was dying, and she spent it pushing away the one person who could actually help her kids through this. She was scared. She was selfish. His mom gasped. Garrett. It's true and you know it, Mom. She was so worried about the twins loving June more than her that she destroyed the one support system they had. And now they have to deal with losing their mother without the one person who knows them best. They have you, I pointed out. I work 60 hours a week. I don't know their teachers' names or their favorite foods or which stuffed animals they sleep with. Fiona knew all that. You knew all that. I don't know my own children. The guilt in his voice was crushing. You'll learn, I said. Will I? Or will I do what my parents did and outsource the actual parenting to nannies in schools while I hide behind work? His mom slammed down the dish she'd been washing. That's not fair, Garrett. Isn't it? When's the last time you asked me about my life instead of critiquing my choices? I'm here right now helping you because Fiona died. You weren't here for the last 6 years. You criticized everything Fiona did, made her feel like a failure, and the one person who never made her feel that way was June, and she pushed June away because she was terrified of being replaced. The kitchen fell silent. Garrett stood up abruptly. I'm going to my office. I need to make calls about the funeral. He left without looking at either of us. His mom turned to me with tears in her eyes. I wasn't a bad mother. I never said you were. He thinks I was. He thinks I didn't care. I didn't know what to say to that. So I said nothing. She sat down at the table across from me. Fiona asked you to take the twins. Yes. You're not equipped for that. You're single. You work full-time. You don't have children of your own. I know. I could take them. Garrett's father and I have resources. A big house. We could give them everything they need, except what Fiona wanted them to have. Her lips thinned. Fiona wasn't thinking clearly. She was dying. I think she was thinking more clearly than she'd ever been. You don't even have legal custody. Garrett would have to agree. I know that too. She stood up. I'm going to check on the twins. After she left, I sat alone in the kitchen, drinking cold coffee and wondering what the hell I'd gotten myself into. My phone buzzed. Dylan. My flight lands at 2:00 p.m. Can you pick me up? Garrett doesn't know you're coming. So? You said the twins needed me. They don't know you're their father, Dylan. You can't just show up and I'm not showing up as their father. I'm showing up as your brother who came to support you after your best friend died. That's it. I rubbed my temples. A headache was building behind my eyes. Fine. I'll pick you up. I hung up and went to find Garrett. He was in his home office, staring at his computer screen without really seeing it. My brother's coming today, I said from the doorway. He looked up. Why? To support me. He doesn't know about Theo. Are you going to tell him? I don't know. Fiona didn't want him to know, but he's already asking questions about why I'm so involved with your family. Garrett leaned back in his chair. What if Theo looks like him? He doesn't. Theo looks like Fiona. That's probably why you never suspected. There were moments. Times I'd catch Theo making an expression that seemed familiar, but I couldn't place it. Or the way he laughs. It's not like my laugh. Kids don't have to look or act like their parents. But he's not my kid, is he? Biologically, I mean. Biology doesn't determine family. Tell that to every court in the country. If your brother wanted custody, he'd probably get it. He's the biological father. I felt cold. Dylan doesn't want custody. He doesn't even know Theo exists. He knows now. He agreed not to make this complicated. People say a lot of things. Doesn't mean they mean it. I left before I could say something I'd regret. The twins were in the living room. Lily was watching cartoons without really watching them. Theo was sitting on the floor with a book open, but not reading it. I have to go pick up my brother from the airport, I told them, but I'll be back in a few hours. Lily looked panicked. Don't leave. I have to, but I promise I'm coming back. Promise? I promise. Theo glanced up at me. Your brother? The one from Seattle? Yeah, Uncle Dylan. Why is he coming? Because he heard about your mom and wanted to be here for me. Theo studied me with those unnerving eyes. He's never come before. No. So why now? I didn't have a good answer for that. At least not one I could tell him. Because sometimes people show up when things are really bad, I finally said. He went back to his book without responding. The drive to the airport gave me time to think about what I was going to say to Dylan, about how I was going to manage this impossible situation, about whether I was really capable of raising 2 traumatized children. Dylan was waiting at the curb when I pulled up. He threw his bag in the back and climbed into the passenger seat. Hey. We pulled away from the airport in silence. How are the kids? He finally asked. About as well as you'd expect. Do they know about me? No, and they're not going to. June, don't. We're not having this conversation right now. When are we having it? Never, if I have any say in it. He turned to look at me. He's my son. He's Garrett's son. You were a sperm donor whether you intended to be or not. That's not fair. None of this is fair. Fiona's dead. Those kids lost their mother. Don't make this harder by claiming rights to a child you never knew existed. I'm not claiming anything. I'm just saying, what? That you want to be involved? That you want visitation rights? What exactly are you saying, Dylan? He was quiet for a long moment. I don't know. I haven't processed any of this. We'll process it quickly because we're about to walk into a house full of grieving people, and you need to be the supportive brother, not the biological father having an identity crisis. We drove the rest of the way in tense silence. Garrett was in the front yard when we arrived, smoking a cigarette. I'd never seen him smoke before. You must be Dylan, Garrett said as we got out. There was no warmth in his voice. Yeah, I'm sorry about your wife. Garrett took a long drag. June told you? About Fiona? Yeah. About Theo? Dylan went still. She mentioned it. And nothing. I'm here to support my sister. Convenient timing, Garrett, I warned. But Garrett wasn't done. 6 years. You had 6 years to be involved in that kid's life, and you never once came to visit. But now that you know he's yours, suddenly you care? I didn't know he was mine 6 years ago. Fiona didn't tell you because she knew you wouldn't step up. You don't know that, don't I? You were freshly divorced, struggling with your own shit. You think she wanted to burden you with a kid? She made the choice to protect everyone involved. Dylan's jaw clenched. I would have been there if she'd told me. You can't know that. And now she's dead, so we'll never know what would have happened. Garrett flicked his cigarette away. But here's what I do know. Those kids have been through hell. They don't need more chaos. So if you're here to complicate things, you should leave now. I'm not here to complicate anything. Good. Because if you try to claim custody or mess with their heads or do anything that makes the situation worse, I will destroy you. Legal fees mean nothing to me. I will bury you in paperwork and lawyers until you give up. Are we clear? Crystal. Garrett turned to me. Your brother can stay in the guest room, but I want him gone by Friday. He went back inside without waiting for a response. Dylan looked shaken. He's serious. Of course he's serious. His wife just died. About destroying me, about keeping me away from Theo. What did you expect? That he'd welcome you with open arms? I don't know what I expected. We walked into the house. The twins were exactly where I'd left them. Lily glanced up when we entered, then went back to the TV. Theo didn't react at all. Lily, Theo, I said gently, this is my brother Dylan. He came from Seattle to visit. Lily gave him a tiny wave. Theo ignored him completely. Dylan sat down on the couch near Lily. Hey, I'm really sorry about your mom. Lily's eyes filled with tears again. She nodded but didn't speak. If there's anything I can do, can you bring her back? Lily asked. No, I can't. I wish I could. Then there's nothing you can do. She got up and went upstairs. Dylan looked at me helplessly. Should I? Leave her alone, I said. She needs space. Theo finally looked up from his book. He stared at Dylan for a long moment, something shifting in his expression. You look familiar, Theo said. My heart stopped. I just have one of those faces, Dylan said quickly. No, it's something else. Theo tilted his head, studying Dylan the way he studied everything, with that intense analytical focus that made him seem much older than 6. Have we met before? I don't think so, buddy. Don't call me buddy. I'm not your buddy. Dylan flinched. Theo went back to his book, but I could tell he wasn't reading. He was thinking, processing, trying to figure out why this stranger felt familiar. I pulled Dylan into the kitchen. You need to be more careful. What did I do? Theo's sharp, sharper than most adults. If you slip up even once, he'll figure it out. How would he figure it out? He's 6 years old. He asked Fiona for a paternity test when he was 4 because he noticed he didn't look anything like Garrett. Fiona told me about it. She laughed it off at the time, but Theo never forgot. He knows something doesn't add up about his parentage. Dylan paled. Jesus. So you need to be just my brother. Nothing more. No staring at him. No trying to bond. Just be background support for me. This is harder than I thought it would be. Welcome to my world. Garrett's mom emerged from upstairs. When she saw Dylan, her expression cooled. You must be June's brother. Dylan, nice to meet you. She didn't offer her hand. I'm surprised you came. June said you hadn't visited in years. I hadn't. But family is important during times like this. Indeed, though I noticed you never visited when Fiona was alive. Only after she died and June might need help with the children. The implication was clear. Dylan's face reddened. I'm not here for the kids. I'm here for my sister. Of course you are. She turned to me. I'm going to the funeral home to make arrangements. Garrett is useless. Someone has to handle things. She left before anyone could respond. She hates me, Dylan said. She hates everyone right now. Don't take it personally. The next few days were a nightmare. Garrett's mom took over all the funeral arrangements, which meant a massive Catholic service even though Fiona wasn't particularly religious. She invited hundreds of people, ordered flowers, hired caterers, turned my best friend's death into a social event. Meanwhile, the twins shut down completely. Lily stopped talking. Theo stopped eating. Both of them followed me around the house like shadows, terrified I'd disappear. I moved into the guest room at Garrett's so I could be there when they woke up from nightmares, which was every night. Dylan tried to help, but kept making mistakes. He'd forget and call Theo son, or try to give him fatherly advice. I had to run interference constantly, pulling him aside and reminding him to back off. On Thursday night, Garrett cornered me in the kitchen. Your brother needs to leave. He's not doing anything wrong. He's looking at Theo like he's his kid. Everyone's going to notice. No one's noticed anything. My mom noticed. She asked me if Dylan was why Theo doesn't look like me. My stomach dropped. What did you tell her? That genetics are unpredictable. But she didn't buy it. And if she's asking questions, other people will too. Dylan leaves tomorrow. I'll make sure he doesn't come to the funeral. Good. Friday morning, I drove Dylan back to the airport. He was quiet for most of the drive. I can't do this, he finally said. Do what? Pretend he's not my son. Act like I don't care. You have to. Why? Because Fiona decided 6 years ago that I shouldn't be involved? Because Theo has already lost his mother. He doesn't need to lose his father too. I'm his father. No, Dylan. You're his sperm donor. Garrett is his father. Garrett's been there for every birthday, every scraped knee, every parent-teacher conference. You've been in Seattle living your life. I didn't have a choice. And you still don't. Fiona made the choice for you. She decided Garrett would be Theo's father. And now that she's gone, you don't get to swoop in and rewrite history. We pulled up to the airport. Dylan didn't get out immediately. What if I fight for custody? He asked quietly. Then you'll destroy that little boy's life. He'll find out his entire existence is a lie. That his dad isn't his dad. That his aunt is actually his aunt by blood. That his mother kept secrets from him. You'll shatter whatever trust he has left in adults. Maybe he deserves to know the truth. Maybe he deserves to have one stable thing in his life after losing his mother. And that stable thing is believing Garrett is his father. Dylan was crying. I'd never seen my brother cry before. I didn't know I wanted to be a father until I knew I was one, he said. And now that I know, I can't unknow it. You have to try. What if I can't? Then you stay away. Because if you can't put Theo's needs above your own, you're not fit to be his father anyway. It was harsh, but it needed to be said. Dylan grabbed his bag and got out without another word. I watched him walk into the airport, wondering if I'd just lost my brother. The funeral was Saturday. 300 people showed up. Most of them I'd never seen before. Business associates of Garrett's family. Women from some charity board Garrett's mom sat on. A handful of Fiona's actual friends. The twins wore matching black outfits. Lily held my hand through the entire service. Theo sat between Garrett and me, stiff and silent. When it was time for eulogies, Garrett's mom went first. She talked about how Fiona was a devoted mother and loving wife, how she always put her family first, how she'll be remembered for her grace and kindness. It was bullshit. Beautiful, polished bullshit. Garrett went next. He talked about falling in love with Fiona, their wedding day, the birth of the twins. He broke down halfway through and couldn't finish. Then it was my turn. I hadn't planned to speak, but Lily looked up at me with those devastated eyes and whispered, "Tell them about Mom." So I stood up and walked to the front. I met Fiona in 7th grade. I started. My voice was shaking. She sat next to me in science class and asked if I wanted to be lab partners. I said yes because she seemed nice. Turned out she was terrible at science. A few people laughed softly, but she was good at being a friend. The kind of friend who remembered your birthday, who showed up when you called at 2 a.m., who told you the truth even when you didn't want to hear it. I looked at the twins. When Lily and Theo were born, Fiona was terrified. She called me from the hospital crying because she was convinced she'd be a terrible mother. She said she didn't know how to keep tiny humans alive. More people laughed. But she figured it out. She learned. And she loved those kids more than anything in the world. My voice broke. She loved them so much it scared her. She was afraid she wasn't enough for them. Afraid they'd figure out she was making it up as she went along. But here's the truth. Every parent is making it up as they go along. And Fiona did it better than most. I looked at Garrett. She asked me to take care of her children if anything happened to her. Not because she didn't trust Garrett, but because she knew how much I loved them, and because she knew they'd need someone who could tell them stories about her, someone who knew her before she was a mother, someone who could remind them that their mom was funny and flawed and human. I turned back to the crowd. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to tell them about the time Fiona tried to bake a cake for my birthday and set off the fire alarm, about the time she convinced me to skip school and we got caught because she couldn't stop laughing, about the time she fell in love with Garrett and called me at midnight to tell me she'd found the one. Tears were streaming down my face now. I'm going to make sure they know their mother, the real her, not just the polished version, but the messy, beautiful, complicated person who loved them more than anything. I sat back down. Lily crawled into my lap and buried her face in my shoulder. Theo reached over and took my hand. After the funeral, there was a reception at Garrett's house. More people I didn't know, eating fancy finger foods and drinking wine and talking about how tragic it all was. I found Garrett in his office, hiding from his own party. That was a good eulogy, he said. Thanks. You meant it. About taking them. Yes. He looked at me for a long moment. I can't do this alone. You won't have to. My mom wants them to live with her. She's already talking about hiring nannies and enrolling them in private school. What do you want? I want my wife back. His voice broke. I want to rewind time and tell her she was a good mother. I want to fix all the things I broke by working too much and being absent, but I can't have any of that. So I guess I want whatever's best for the twins, which is you. They need you. They've always needed you. And you? I need you too, but not like I just mean I need help, someone who knows them, who can pick up where Fiona left off. I can't replace Fiona. I know, but you can be there in the ways I can't. Between the two of us, maybe we can give them something close to what they need. There was a knock on the door. Garrett's mom walked in without waiting for permission. We need to discuss living arrangements, she said. No preamble, no softness, just business. Not now, Mom. Yes, now. Those children need stability, structure, proper parenting. They have proper parenting, do they? You work constantly. June is a single woman with no experience raising children. I can provide. June is taking custody, Garrett interrupted. Fiona wanted that. It's what's going to happen. His mom's face hardened. You're making a mistake. Maybe. But it's my mistake to make. The courts won't see it that way. A single working woman with no children of her own versus a stable married couple with resources? I'll fight this, Garrett. Then you'll lose. Garrett stood up. And you'll lose more than just custody. You'll lose access to your grandchildren, because I will back June 100%. And if you fight her, you fight me. This is absurd. This is what Fiona wanted. Garrett's voice rose. For once, can you respect what she wanted? Even though she's dead? Even though it doesn't fit your idea of what's proper? His mom's face flushed. I'm trying to protect those children. You're trying to control them. There's a difference. She turned to me. You can't seriously think you're capable of this. I don't know if I'm capable, I admitted, but I'm going to try. And when you fail, when you realize it's too hard, what happens to those children then? I won't fail. Everyone says that. Then reality sets in. Late nights, tantrums, endless needs. You'll last a month before you're overwhelmed. Then I'll be overwhelmed. But I won't abandon them. She stared at me for a long moment. We'll see. After she left, Garrett sank back into his chair. I'm sorry about her. She's grieving. She's controlling. Always has been. That's why Fiona never wanted her more involved. What happens now? Legally? I need to transfer custody to you. It'll take some time. Paperwork, court approval. But since Fiona specifically requested it and I'm agreeing, it should go through. How long? Maybe 6 months. In the meantime, you'd have temporary guardianship. You can make medical decisions, school decisions, all of that. And you? I keep full legal custody until the transfer is complete. But day to day, you're in charge. It was overwhelming, terrifying, but I nodded anyway. Okay? You'll need to move in, at least initially. The twins need consistency. What about my job? Fiona had a life insurance policy. It's enough to cover expenses for a while. You can work part-time or take leave or whatever you need. Money isn't an issue. Your mom's going to use that against me. Say I'm only doing this for money. Let her. I know the truth. That's what matters. We heard a crash from downstairs. Both of us rushed out to find Theo standing in the middle of the living room, surrounded by broken plates. I dropped them, he said flatly. No emotion. No apology. Garrett's mom descended on him. What were you thinking? Those plates are irreplaceable. Stop, Garrett said firmly. He needs to learn. He's 6 years old and his mother just died. He doesn't need a lecture about plates. I knelt down next to Theo. Are you hurt? He shook his head. Did you drop them on purpose? A pause, then a small nod. Why? I wanted to break something. His voice was so quiet I almost didn't hear him. Everything else is broken. Why not plates? I pulled him into a hug. He resisted at first, then collapsed against me. His body shook with silent sobs. It's okay to be angry, I whispered. It's okay to want to break things. Is it okay to want to break me? He asked. My heart shattered. You're not broken, Theo. You're hurting. There's a difference. It feels the same. I know, but I promise you, it's different. Broken things can't be fixed. Hurting things can heal. How long does healing take? I don't know, but we'll figure it out together. He clung to me while Garrett's mom cleaned up the plates, muttering about proper discipline and children running wild. Lily appeared at the top of the stairs, her face scared. Is Theo okay? Come here, sweetheart. I said. She ran down and joined our hug. The three of us sat on the floor of the living room, holding each other while the reception continued around us. That night, after everyone left, I put the twins to bed. Lily made me check under her bed and in her closet for monsters. Theo made me promise 3 times that I'd still be there in the morning. When they were finally asleep, I went downstairs. Garrett was sitting in the dark, drinking whiskey. Want some? He offered. Yeah. He poured me a glass. We sat in silence for a while. I keep waiting for her to walk through that door, he said eventually. Tell me this was all some terrible nightmare. Me too. Do you think she knew how much she meant to them? To all of us? I think she knew. She was just scared of not being enough. She was more than enough. She was human. That's what she couldn't forgive herself for. Garrett refilled his glass. I cheated on her. I went still. 3 years ago, with a coworker. It lasted 6 months before Fiona found out. He laughed bitterly. That's why she had the affair with your brother. She was trying to hurt me the way I hurt her. Did it work? What do you think? Finding out one of my kids isn't mine? Yeah, it worked. Why are you telling me this? Because you need to know what kind of man you're trusting with half the responsibility for those kids. I'm not the good guy here. I'm the guy who destroyed his marriage and drove his wife into another man's arms. Fiona chose to have that affair. That's on her, not you. Isn't it though? If I hadn't cheated first, you'd still be married to someone who felt inadequate. Fiona's issues went deeper than your affair. She had postpartum depression, anxiety, self-worth issues that started long before you cheated. That doesn't excuse what I did. No, but it means you're not solely responsible for every mistake in your marriage. He was quiet for a long time. I don't know how to do this without her. None of us do, but we figure it out anyway. What if I mess them up even more? Then we figure out how to help them through that too. He looked at me. You're really going to do this? Give up your life to raise someone else's kids? They're not someone else's kids. They're Lily and Theo. And I love them. Even Theo, knowing what you know, especially Theo. He didn't ask for any of this. Garrett nodded slowly. Okay, then let's figure out how to make this work. Over the next week, we developed a system. I moved into the guest room, took over morning routines, got the twins to school. Garrett handled evenings when he could, but his work schedule was unpredictable. Lily started talking again, but only to me. She wouldn't speak to Garrett or his mom or even her teachers. Just me. Theo started eating again, but barely. A few bites at each meal. He lost weight rapidly, his already thin frame becoming skeletal. The pediatrician said it was normal grief response. Give it time. Monitor closely. If it gets worse, we might need to intervene. It got worse. 2 weeks after the funeral, Theo passed out at school. His blood sugar had dropped dangerously low. I got the call during a meeting with Garrett and the lawyer handling custody transfer. I broke every speed limit getting to the school. Theo was conscious by the time I arrived, sitting in the nurse's office with juice and crackers he wasn't drinking or eating. Hey, buddy. You said you wouldn't call me buddy. Sorry. Hey, Theo. He looked up at me with those 2 old eyes. I'm tired. I know. Not tired like sleepy. Tired like I don't want to be awake anymore. My blood ran cold. What do you mean? Mom isn't here. Nothing's fun. Food doesn't taste good. Why should I keep doing this? He was 6 years old and talking about not wanting to exist. Because Lily needs you, I said carefully. And I need you. And your dad needs you. He's not my dad. The words hung in the air like smoke. What? Garrett isn't my dad. I figured it out. Theo, I'm not stupid. I know I don't look like him. I know Mom and him used to fight about me being different. I heard them once when they thought I was asleep. Mom said something about me being her mistake. I felt sick. Your mom didn't mean she did. And it's okay. I know I'm the mistake kid. The one from before. Lily's the real kid. That's not true. Then who's my real dad? I couldn't answer. Couldn't betray Fiona's secret. Couldn't lie to this child who'd already been lied to enough. I don't think now is the right time to have this conversation, I finally said. Because you're going to lie to me too? No, because you just passed out and need medical attention. But I promise you, when you're feeling better, we'll talk about this. Really talk. No more secrets. He studied me, trying to decide if I was trustworthy. Promise? I promise. We went to the emergency room. They ran tests, gave him IV fluids, and kept him overnight for observation. Lily refused to leave, so I stayed with both of them. Garrett showed up around midnight. He looked wrecked. The nurse called me. He said, "How is he? Physically? He'll be fine? Emotionally?" I shook my head. What happened? I pulled him into the hallway so we could talk without Theo hearing. He knows. Knows what? That you're not his biological father. Garrett went pale. How? He figured it out. He's been listening to fights you and Fiona had. He thinks he's a mistake. Jesus Christ. He asked me who his real father is. What did you tell him? Nothing yet. But I promised we'd talk about it when he's feeling better. You can't tell him. He deserves the truth. He deserves to not have his world imploded even more than it already has. His world is already imploded. He just told me he doesn't want to be alive anymore. Garrett flinched like I'd hit him. He's 6 years old and he's given up. I continued. We can't let that happen. And we can't fix it by lying to him. So what do you suggest? We tell him his biological father is your brother who wants nothing to do with him? Dylan doesn't want nothing to do with him. He's backed off because we asked him to. Same thing, is it? What if knowing the truth gives Theo something to hold on to? What if knowing his biological father didn't abandon him, but didn't know he existed, makes a difference? Or what if it makes everything worse? What if he asks to meet Dylan and then Dylan disappoints him? What if Dylan decides being a dad is too hard and walks away? What if we give him the chance to decide for himself what he wants to know? Garrett ran his hands through his hair. I don't know what the right answer is. Neither do I. But I know lying isn't working. We stood in that hospital hallway for a long time, neither of us with good options. Finally, Garrett said, let him heal first, physically. Then we figure out how to tell him without destroying him. Okay. Theo was released the next day with strict instructions. Eat regular meals, drink plenty of fluids, follow up with his pediatrician and a therapist. The therapist appointment was the following week. Her name was Dr. Patricia Chen. She was in her 50s with kind eyes and a calm presence. The first session was just Theo. I sat in the waiting room, trying not to imagine what he was saying. When they came out, Dr. Chen asked to speak with me privately. Theo's an unusual child, she said once we were in her office. I know. He's very perceptive, almost unnervingly so. He's already identified that he's different from his sister in ways that go beyond normal sibling differences. What did he tell you? That he doesn't feel like he belongs in his family, that his mom died thinking he was a mistake, that his dad isn't really his dad. I closed my eyes. He asked me if there's something wrong with him, Dr. Chen continued. If the reason his mom died is because he's broken, that's not. I know it's not. You know it's not. But Theo doesn't know it's not. And until he understands his actual origin story, he's going to keep believing he's fundamentally wrong somehow. So you think we should tell him? I think you should tell him an age-appropriate version of the truth, not the full details, but enough that he understands he's not a mistake. How do we do that without making it worse? You tell him that sometimes adults make choices that are complicated, that his mom and his dad Garrett love him completely, and that his biological father didn't know about him. But if he had, he would have loved him too. His biological father wants to be involved. Does Theo want that? I don't know. I'm not sure he even understands what that would mean. Then my suggestion is this. Tell him the truth about his parentage. Answer his questions honestly but age-appropriately, and let him decide over time if and when he wants to meet his biological father. What if that ruins his relationship with Garrett? What if keeping this secret ruins it instead? She had a point. I drove home and told Garrett what the therapist said. He didn't take it well. So I'm supposed to tell my son that I'm not his real father? That his mother lied to him his whole life? You're supposed to tell him the truth so he stops thinking he's broken. And what happens after? He'll hate me. He'll hate Fiona. He'll want Dylan instead. Maybe. Or maybe he'll finally understand that he's loved by everyone, not just tolerated. Garrett was quiet for a long time. I'll do it. But Dylan needs to be here. What? If we're going to tell Theo the truth, Dylan needs to be part of this conversation. Theo deserves to hear from Dylan directly, that he didn't abandon him. I called Dylan that night. We need you to come back. Did something happen? Theo knows he's not Garrett's biological son. He thinks he's a mistake. His therapist thinks we need to tell him the truth. Shit. Can you be here this weekend? Yeah, I'll book a flight now. And Dylan, you need to be sure about this. Once we tell him there's no going back, he's going to want you in his life. Can you handle that? I don't know, but I'll figure it out. For him. That Friday, Dylan flew in. I picked him up from the airport. He looked terrified. What if I say the wrong thing? He asked in the car. Then we correct it and move on. What if he hates me? Then we deal with that too. You make it sound so simple. It's not simple. It's necessary. There's a difference. We spent Friday night planning what to say, how to explain this to a 6-year-old without causing more damage. It was impossible, but we had to try anyway. Saturday morning, Garrett and I sat down with Theo in the living room. Lily was at a friend's house. We'd arranged for her to be gone so we could focus on Theo. Dylan waited in the kitchen, ready to come in when we called him. Theo sat on the couch, looking between Garrett and me with wary eyes. Am I in trouble? No, sweetheart, I said. We need to talk to you about something important. About me being different. Garrett took a deep breath. Yes, about you being different. Theo's face closed off. I recognized that look. He was preparing for rejection, for confirmation that he was a mistake. You remember how you asked me who your biological father is? I said. Theo nodded. Well, Garrett is your dad in every way that matters. He's been there since you were born. He loves you completely. But you're right that he's not your biological father. Then who is? This was it. The moment everything changed. My brother Dylan, I said. He's your biological father. Theo processed this slowly. Uncle Dylan? Yes. But I just met him. At the funeral. I know. He didn't know about you until very recently. Your mom never told him she was pregnant. Why not? Garrett spoke up. Because she loved me, and she wanted our family to stay together. She made a choice to keep it private. Did she not want me? She wanted you very much, I said firmly. She loved you, Theo, so much. She just didn't want to complicate things. Was I the complication? No, the situation was complicated. You were loved. Theo thought about this. Does Dylan know about me now? Yes. Does he want me? That broke my heart. Let's ask him, I said. He's in the kitchen. Do you want him to come in? Theo hesitated, then nodded. I called for Dylan. He walked in looking pale and nervous. He sat in the chair across from Theo. Hi, Dylan said. You're my real dad? Theo asked. I'm your biological father, but Garrett's your real dad. He's been there for you. I haven't. Why not? Because I didn't know about you. Your mom made a choice not to tell me. If I had known, I would have been there. I promise. Do you want me now? Dylan's eyes filled with tears. Yes, I want to know you, if you want to know me. Are you going to leave again? I live in Seattle, so I can't be here every day, but I can visit. We can video chat. I can be in your life in whatever way feels right for you. Theo studied Dylan with that intense gaze. Do I look like you? A little bit. You have my eyes. And my mom's chin. Do I have your laugh? Dylan smiled sadly. I don't know yet. We'll have to figure that out together. Theo turned to Garrett. Are you mad at me? Mad at you? Garrett looked shocked. Why would I be mad at you? Because I'm not really yours. Garrett got down on his knees in front of Theo. Listen to me very carefully. You are mine. Blood doesn't determine family. Love does. And I have loved you since the day you were born. That will never change. Do you understand? Theo nodded, but I could tell he didn't fully believe it. Can I think about this? He asked. Of course, I said. Take all the time you need. He went upstairs to his room. We heard the door close. Dylan looked wrecked. That went terribly. That went as well as it could have. I corrected. He didn't run away screaming. He didn't reject any of us. He's processing. He didn't seem happy to meet me. He just found out his entire understanding of his family was wrong. Give him time. Garrett stood up. I need a drink. He left without another word. Dylan turned to me. Now what? Now we wait. We let him process. We answer his questions when he has them. And we hope we didn't just make everything worse. An hour later, Theo came back downstairs. He walked straight to Dylan. Can you stay for dinner? Dylan looked like he might cry. Yeah, I can stay for dinner. Okay. Theo went back upstairs. That dinner was awkward. Lily knew something was wrong, but couldn't figure out what. She kept looking between all of us, trying to read the room. Theo barely spoke. He picked at his food and watched Dylan carefully. After dinner, Lily went to take a bath. Theo stayed at the table. Can I ask you questions? He asked Dylan. As many as you want. Why did you sleep with my mom? The adults all froze. Dylan struggled for words. That's complicated. That's what adults say when they don't want to tell the truth. You're right, Dylan admitted. Okay, the truth is your mom and Garrett were having problems. Your mom was sad and lonely. I was going through a divorce and I was sad and lonely too. We made a choice that we probably shouldn't have made. We hurt people. And then you were the result of that choice and your mom had to decide what to do. Did you love her? I cared about her. But I didn't love her the way Garrett did. Does that mean you don't love me? No. It means I didn't know you existed. But now that I do, I want to love you. If you'll let me. Theo thought about this. Do I have to call you Dad? You can call me whatever feels right. Dylan is fine. Uncle Dylan is fine. Whatever makes you comfortable. What if I don't want you in my life? Dylan flinched but kept his voice steady. Then that's your choice. And I'll respect it. Really? Really? This is about what you need, not what I want. Theo nodded slowly. Okay. Then he went upstairs without another word. Dylan stayed through the weekend. Theo didn't avoid him, but he didn't seek him out either. He was polite but distant. Testing, I realized. Seeing if Dylan would get frustrated and leave. Dylan passed the test. He stayed patient. Answered questions. Gave Theo space when he needed it. Sunday night, right before Dylan was supposed to leave for his flight, Theo came downstairs with a piece of paper. I drew this for you, he said quietly. It was a picture of two stick figures. One tall, one small. They were holding hands. That's me and you, Theo explained. If you want. Dylan took the picture with shaking hands. Can I keep this? Yes, but you have to come back to get the next one. When do you want me to come back? Theo thought about it. Next month for my birthday. I'll be here. Promise? I promise. After Dylan left, I found Theo in his room. He was lying on his bed staring at the ceiling. You okay? I asked. I don't know. That's okay. You don't have to know. Do you think Mom would be mad that I told Dylan he could come to my birthday? I sat on the edge of his bed. I think your mom would want you to be happy. And if Dylan makes you happy, she'd be okay with that. I don't know if he makes me happy yet. That's okay too. Does Lily need a different dad too? My heart clenched. No, baby. Garrett is Lily's biological father. So I'm the only one who's different. Different doesn't mean bad, doesn't it? His voice was so small. I'm the mistake that made everyone lie. You're not a mistake. You're a surprise. There's a difference. He rolled over to face the wall. I'm tired. I kissed his forehead and left him to rest. The next few weeks were hard. Theo went to therapy twice a week. Lily started having nightmares about me leaving. Garrett threw himself into work, and I tried to hold everything together while feeling like I was drowning. The custody paperwork was moving forward. My lawyer said we'd likely have a court date within 2 months. Garrett's mom had backed off her threats, but I knew she was watching, waiting for me to fail. Dylan called every night to talk to Theo. At first, the conversations were stilted and brief, but slowly, they got longer. Theo started asking questions about Seattle, about Dylan's childhood, about whether they really did have the same laugh. One night, I heard Theo giggling in his room. I peeked in to see him on video chat with Dylan, both of them making silly faces at each other. When Theo hung up, he saw me in the doorway. He's weird, Theo said. Yeah? But I think I like him. That felt like progress. Theo's birthday was in November. Dylan flew in 3 days early. This time, he stayed at a hotel instead of the house, giving everyone space. The birthday party was small, just family and a few of Theo's classmates. Garrett's parents came, but stayed on the opposite side of the room from Dylan. Lily had made Theo a card with so many glitter glue that it was practically a sculpture. Theo loved it. When it was time for cake, Dylan came to sit next to Theo. Can I give you your present now? Dylan asked. Sure. Dylan handed him a wrapped box. Theo opened it carefully. Inside was a leather journal with Theo's initials embossed on the cover. I noticed you like to write stories, Dylan said. I thought you might want something special to write in. Theo ran his fingers over the leather. This is really nice. There's something else. Dylan pulled out a second identical journal. I got one for me too. I thought maybe we could both write in them. About our days. About what we're thinking. And then when I visit, we can share what we wrote if we want to. Theo looked up at Dylan. Like pen pals? Yeah, like pen pals. That's kind of corny. Dylan laughed. Yeah, it is. I like it though. Yeah? Yeah. That night, after everyone left, Theo asked if Dylan could stay over. Garrett was hesitant but agreed. Dylan slept on the couch. Around 2 a.m., I heard movement downstairs. I went to investigate and found Theo sitting on the floor next to the couch where Dylan was sleeping. Theo, what are you doing? Making sure he doesn't leave while I'm sleeping. My heart broke a little more. I sat down next to him. Dylan's not going to sneak out in the middle of the night. How do you know? Because he promised he'd be here in the morning. And Dylan keeps his promises. Mom made promises too. Your mom didn't choose to leave you. She got sick, but she still left. I couldn't argue with that. You're right, she did. And I know that's scary. But Dylan being here isn't the same thing as your mom being sick. He can choose to stay. And he's choosing to stay. For now, I agreed. And tomorrow, and next month, one day at a time. Theo leaned against me. I miss her. I know, baby. I miss her too. Does it ever stop hurting? I thought about lying, telling him it gets easier. But I'd promised him no more lies. I don't think it stops hurting. But I think you get better at carrying the hurt. Like a heavy backpack. At first it feels impossible. But then your muscles get stronger and it feels a little lighter. How long does that take? I don't know. Different for everyone. We sat in the dark for a while longer. Eventually, Theo fell asleep leaning against me. I carried him back to bed. Dylan was awake when I came back downstairs. I heard, he said quietly. I figured. He's terrified I'm going to disappear. He's terrified everyone is going to disappear. His mom died. In his mind, anyone could leave at any time. Dylan sat up. I won't abandon him. I know that. You know that. But Theo needs time to learn that. How much time? As much as he needs. The next morning, Theo woke up and his first move was to run downstairs. He found Dylan in the kitchen making coffee. You're still here, Theo said, relief clear in his voice. I told you I would be. You're really staying until tonight? Yeah. My flight's not until 8 p.m. Can we do something together? Just us? Dylan looked surprised. Yeah. What do you want to do? I don't know. What did you do with your dad when you were little? Dylan paused. Our father had not been a great dad. Absent, emotionally, focused on work. Dylan and I had both spent our childhoods craving more attention from him. My dad took me to baseball games, Dylan finally said. Do you like baseball? Not really. Then why did he take you? Because he liked baseball. He didn't really ask what I wanted. Theo thought about this. What would you have wanted to do? Honestly, I liked building things. With Legos or blocks or whatever. I would have wanted to build something together. I like building things too. Yeah? Yeah. I have a bunch of Legos in my room. Want to build something? Yeah. They spent the entire day building an elaborate Lego city. Garrett and I watched from a distance, not wanting to interrupt. They look alike, Garrett said quietly. A little. More than a little. How did I never see it before? Because you were Theo's dad. You didn't need to look for someone else in his face. Garrett was quiet for a moment. Am I still his dad? Of course you are. But now Dylan's here, being the fun dad who builds Legos and sends journals and remembers what it's like to be a kid. You're the dad who's been there for every single day of his life, who changed diapers and dealt with tantrums and stayed up with him when he was sick. Dylan gets to swoop in for the fun parts because he wasn't there for the hard parts. That doesn't make him more important, doesn't it? Theo's excited to see him. He's never excited to see me. Theo takes you for granted because you're constant. That's not a bad thing. That's what good parents are. They're the boring, reliable constant that lets kids safely explore the exciting, unpredictable variables. Garrett looked at me. When did you get so wise? When I started living with child therapists' handbooks under my pillow. He laughed. It was the first time I'd heard him laugh since Fiona died. When it was time for Dylan to leave that night, Theo walked him to the door. Will you really come back? Theo asked. Next month, I promise. What if you die before then? Dylan knelt down. Then it won't be because I chose to leave you. But I'm healthy, and I'm careful, and I plan to be around for a very long time. Mom was healthy too. Your mom had cancer. That's different from a random accident. But you're right that we can't guarantee the future. All we can do is make promises for today. And today, I promise I'll be back next month. Is that enough? Theo thought about it. Okay. Dylan hugged him. Theo hugged back this time. After Dylan left, Theo came and found me. Can I sleep in your room tonight? Sure. Is everything okay? I just don't want to be alone. We set up a sleeping bag on my floor. Lily heard about this and insisted on joining us. So all three of us camped out in my room. Right before falling asleep, Theo said, I think Mom would like Dylan. Yeah, he's nice. And he makes me laugh. And he doesn't pretend like he knows everything. Those are good qualities. Do you think if Mom knew about him, she would have wanted me to meet him? I thought about Fiona, about her fear and her love and her desperate desire to keep her family intact. I think your mom wanted whatever would make you happy, I finally said. And if meeting Dylan makes you happy, then yes, she'd want that. I'm not happy he exists because that means Mom lied to me. I know, but I am happy I get to know him now. You can feel both things at once, happy and sad, angry and grateful. Feelings are complicated. Adults are complicated. Everyone is complicated, kiddo. We just get better at hiding it as we get older. The custody hearing was scheduled for early December. My lawyer prepped me extensively. What to say, what not to say, how to present myself as a stable, capable guardian. Garrett's mom showed up with her own lawyer. I shouldn't have been surprised, but I was. The judge was a stern-looking woman in her 60s. She reviewed all the paperwork, then looked at me. Ms. Rodriguez, you're asking for full custody of 2 minor children. Can you explain why you believe this is in their best interest? I took a deep breath. Because their mother asked me to. Because I know these kids. I know that Lily needs extra reassurance at bedtime. That Theo needs time to process before he can talk about his feelings. That they both love mac and cheese, but only the kind with the powder cheese, not the liquid kind. That's hardly a qualification for parenthood. No, but knowing them is. Loving them is. Being willing to put their needs above my convenience is. I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I'm present. And sometimes that's more important than perfect. The judge turned to Garrett's mom. Mrs. Blake, you're contesting this custody arrangement. Can you explain your concerns? My concerns are that Ms. Rodriguez is single, works full-time, and has no experience raising children. My husband and I can provide a stable 2-parent home with financial resources and decades of parenting experience. Ms. Rodriguez, how do you respond? I'm single, yes, but Garrett will still be in their lives as their father. I'm not replacing him. I'm supplementing. As for work, Fiona's life insurance provides enough that I can work part-time and be present when they need me. And regarding experience, I've been present for most of their lives. I've been their secondary caregiver since they were born. The judge made notes. I'd like to hear from Mr. Blake. Garrett stood up. He looked nervous. Mr. Blake, you're the children's father. You could retain full custody. Why are you supporting this arrangement? Because it's what my wife wanted, and because June is right. She knows my kids better than anyone, better than my parents, sometimes better than me. The twins need stability and familiarity. June provides that. And you're comfortable with someone outside the family having this much control over your children's lives? June is family, maybe not by blood, but by choice. And that matters more. The judge looked at the twins' file. I see here that one child has been meeting with a therapist twice weekly. Can you explain the situation? My heart sank. This was going to be the part that derailed everything. Theo has been struggling with his mother's death, I explained. He also recently learned about his parentage. He discovered that Mr. Blake is not his biological father. This has been difficult for him to process. Who is the biological father? My brother, Dylan Rodriguez. He lives in Seattle but has been working to establish a relationship with Theo. Was he involved in the child's life previously? No, he didn't know about Theo until recently. I see. More notes. And how has this revelation affected the child? He's struggling, but he's in therapy and making progress. The judge turned to Garrett's mom. Mrs. Blake, does this change your position on custody? It confirms my position. This child is clearly dealing with complex emotional issues that require professional stability. My husband and I can provide that. The judge looked at Theo's therapist's report. Dr. Chen has submitted a statement. She indicates that Theo has made significant progress with Ms. Rodriguez's support and that disrupting his current living arrangement would be detrimental to his emotional well-being. She looked up at all of us. I'm going to adjourn this hearing for 2 weeks. I want to conduct home visits and speak with the children privately before making my decision. 2 weeks of waiting. 2 weeks of not knowing if I'd get to keep the twins. The home visit was scheduled for the following Tuesday. A social worker named Mrs. Harper came to evaluate the living situation. She walked through the house making notes, checked that the twins had their own rooms, that there was food in the fridge, that the house was clean and safe. Then she sat down with each twin individually. Lily went first. She was nervous but answered questions honestly. Yes, she liked living here. Yes, she felt safe. Yes, Aunt June took good care of her. Then it was Theo's turn. He was with Mrs. Harper for 45 minutes. When they emerged, his face was unreadable. "Thank you for your time," Mrs. Harper said to me. "I'll have my report ready for the judge." After she left, I found Theo in his room. "How did it go?" She asked a lot of questions. "What kind of questions?" "About whether I feel safe, whether you're nice to me, whether I want to stay here." "What did you tell her?" He looked at me with those two old eyes. I told her the truth. My stomach dropped. "Which is?" "That I want to stay with you, but I also want Garrett to still be my dad. And I want Dylan to visit. And I want Lily to never feel like she's less important than me. And I want my mom back. But I know that's impossible, so I'll settle for everyone else staying." I pulled him into a hug. "That's a lot to want. Is it too much?" "No, it's exactly the right amount." The second hearing was the day before Christmas. The courtroom felt too formal, too cold for what we were deciding. The judge had reviewed everything: home visits, therapy reports, financial statements, character references. She looked at all of us sternly. "I've made my decision regarding custody of Lily and Theodore Blake." My heart was pounding so hard I thought everyone could hear it. "Based on the evidence presented, the clear wishes of the deceased mother, the support of the surviving father, and the best interest of the children, I'm granting primary custody to Ms. June Rodriguez." Relief flooded through me. "However," the judge continued, "Mr. Garrett Blake will retain significant parenting time and decision-making authority. This is a joint custody arrangement. You'll both need to work together for these children's benefit." She looked at Garrett's parents. "Mr. and Mrs. Blake, you'll have grandparent visitation rights, but I'm putting strict conditions on that. These children have been through enough. I won't tolerate any attempts to undermine the custody arrangement or create conflict." Garrett's mom looked like she wanted to argue, but her lawyer put a hand on her arm. "This case is closed. I wish you all luck. These children need stability, love, and consistency. I trust you'll all provide that." Outside the courtroom, Garrett hugged me. "We did it. We did." His parents left without speaking to us. I felt bad about that, but not bad enough to chase after them. That night, I told the twins that the judge had decided they would live with me permanently. Lily cried with relief. Theo just nodded, like he'd expected this outcome. "Does this mean you're our mom now?" Lily asked. "No, baby. I'm still Aunt June. Your mom was your mom. Nobody replaces her. But you take care of us like a mom." "That's true. I guess I'm like a mom aunt." "What's that?" "It's someone who isn't your mom, but loves you like one anyway." Lily thought about this. I like that. Theo was quiet. I could tell he was processing. Later, when I tucked him in, he asked, "If you're like a mom, what does that make Dylan? What do you want him to be?" "I don't know. He's not like a dad, but he's not just a regular uncle either. Maybe he's his own category. Like how I'm a mom aunt, he's a bio-dad uncle." "That sounds stupid. You got a better name?" He thought about it. "How about just Dylan? Just Dylan works. And Garrett can still be dad." "Yes, Garrett is still dad." "Okay, that makes sense." He rolled over to go to sleep, then rolled back. "Aunt June? Yeah? I'm glad the judge picked you." "Me too, kiddo. Me too." Christmas was quiet. Just the four of us. Garrett, me, and the twins. We made pancakes for breakfast and opened presents in our pajamas. Dylan called from Seattle. He'd offered to fly in, but I told him to stay with his own family for the holiday. Theo talked to him for an hour, showing him all his presents through video chat. After lunch, Garrett fell asleep on the couch. The twins and I watched Christmas movies. During a particularly sappy scene, Lily started crying. "What's wrong?" I asked. "I miss Mom." "I know, sweetie. She always made Christmas special, with fancy cookies and decorations and the advent calendar with chocolates." "You're right. She did. I wish she was here." "Me too." Theo, who'd been silent, suddenly said, "She is here." We both looked at him. "What do you mean?" Lily asked. "She's here because we remember her, because we're doing things she taught us, like how Aunt June made the same cookies Mom used to make, and Dad put up the same decorations. Mom's here and all the things she gave us." Lily thought about this. "That's kinda nice." "Yeah." They both leaned against me and we finished the movie like that. 3 people missing a fourth, but together anyway. The next few months passed in a blur of routine. School drop-offs and pickups, therapy appointments, Dylan visiting every 3 weeks. Slowly, carefully, we built something that looked like a family. It wasn't what Fiona had envisioned. It wasn't traditional. It was messy and complicated and sometimes painful, but it was ours. Theo started calling me Mom June sometimes, which made my heart both ache and sore. Lily stopped having nightmares. Garrett started working less, making time for actual parenting. Dylan and Theo developed their own relationship. It wasn't father-son exactly, more like mentorship. Dylan taught Theo about coding and building things. Theo taught Dylan about patience and persistence. On the anniversary of Fiona's death, we all went to the cemetery. The twins brought flowers. Garrett brought the twins' report cards. Dylan brought a letter he'd written but didn't read aloud. I didn't bring anything tangible, just my memories and my gratitude, because Fiona had given me the greatest gift. She'd given me her children, trusted me with the 2 people she loved most in the world. As we stood there in the cemetery, I made her a silent promise. I would do my best. I would mess up. I would learn. I would adapt. I would love these kids with everything I had. It wouldn't be perfect, but it would be real. And maybe that's what family is supposed to be. Not perfect, just real. Just people showing up for each other day after day, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. Theo took my hand. Lily took my other hand. Garrett stood beside us. Dylan stood slightly apart, respectful of his place in this dynamic. We were a family, unconventional, complicated, but whole in our brokenness. And that was enough.